wasn't a matter of the editing team or whoever, their ombudsman or whatever, them not doing their job. Those alarms were never going off.
Right.
Because the moment that they got a story that fit their agenda, it was print.
I mean,
it was ready to go.
You have to imagine that they actually curated it that way, because how did they
Yes.
find this doctor? How did they, why did they pick that particular one? Like, how did that guy's, what he's saying, get on in the Rolling Stone? Like, they looked for it. They went after it.
And one would think that, if my opposition can research this story for 5 minutes and then blow it up, then it doesn't serve me to print it.
Right.
But we live in an era where you're going to have millions of useful idiots like Rachel Maddow helping to propagate the story, helping to get more reach, more clicks, more likes. And people who are sold on this narrative, they just devour it. They just gobble it up. There's absolutely no logic to it forever. Which always reminds me of one of my favorite phrases, that they don't respect you enough to lie well.
Yep.
This was not a good lie. Yep. Talking about the press always being in lockstep. Like, this story comes out literally in the news cycle immediately following Alex Jones getting his hands on ivermectin and Joe Rogan getting COVID and beating COVID in 3 days and saying he took ivermectin.
Right.
Like, it's not a coincidence that Joe Rogan, who, like, is not a libertarian,
right,
but it's just someone who says, I live healthy, I'm not going to die of COVID, and this is a drug I could get my hands on, and I'm not even saying that ivermectin's the reason why I'm healthy today, but I'm just saying in 3 days this is basically over.
Right.
Good for me. These people wished he would have died. They really wished he would have died either of COVID or of an ivermectin overdose. They really do.
Prove your point.
It is not a coincidence that happened, and 24 hours later, this is in the mainstream.
Right.
And this article. I tell you what, Alex Jones, I don't want to go into a big thing about Alex Jones because we got to move on to the next segment. I just want to mention that he gets a whole lot more play now in the mainstream consciousness, even though he was deplatformed from everywhere.
Yeah.
We might be witnessing one of the first people to ever be uncanceled.
Right. He's getting
Does
vindicated.
that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, because I know that like, if you could talk to Alex Jones privately away from the cameras, I'm positive it's performance art, and he would tell you he's just acting like a retard. He actually went on Rogan and said, I'm acting like a retard. He actually said that.
Right.
But just the point being that he was an embodiment of everything that they hated, and so they had to go after him.
Yeah.
And they really demonstrated how terrible cancel culture is. Not just that they got him, but they got him everywhere. They got him in online, in hosting. They got him on social media. They got him in payment processing. They got him all over the place.
Those were just coincidences.
Yeah, and of course, all those separate companies just so happen to do it on the same day at the same time. They don't respect you enough to lie well.